is that this happened with the most marginalized communities, and that gives confidence that if it happens with them, it can happen with everyone, everywhere. Could you please go to the next slide? Next slide, please. So, the speaker before me spoke about how I think 45 years it took for water to actually come back as a main conference agenda for UN. I'd like to also say that for the climate change agreement, it's 27 years before water has actually come in the main declaration. If you see this slide, the one on the left side shows you the incidence of drought that's happening globally, and the one on the right shows you the incidence of flood. Both have increased in incidence, frequency, area, and intensity in the last few years. Next slide. Next slide, please. So I just want to say, come straight away to the positive story, and it says that why are we in this situation today? One of the main reasons is that the primary source of water, rain, which is actually manna from heaven, we now look at it as quote unquote a villain. If you have too less of it, it causes drought, and if you have too much of it, it causes, or too intense spells, it causes flood. So if we can manage this rain that falls, see that it slows, the flow slows, direct it into groundwater, which then rejuvenates the rivers and maintains a healthy balance between groundwater and surface water. And in that, it provides cushioning against extreme weather events. It also leads to dignified livelihoods. It leads to green, nature-based solutions, to a green economy, which is what we were talking about today. And it also leads to peace and security. Forests are regenerated, and it's important to know that this allows for carbon sequestration. It increases the evaporation. So the small clouds bring in the larger clouds, and it's possible to modify the local rain cycle. And what I was saying before, that this is something, it's a time-tested solution, which, because the examples that I'm sharing were 40 years old. And at a time when the region Rajasthan had erratic rainfall for the past 3 years, and still there was economic growth, still there was agriculture, still the forests were there, show the sustainability of such interventions. Can you just go on to the next slide? I'm panicking because 12 minutes has gone to 6 minutes, and this is a practical story. So apologies for that. I know it's nothing. The chair is like this. The chair is like this, so that also I can understand. And how was this possible? So how did this happen? This happened because, sir, you mentioned about decentralization. It happened because of the decentralized water conservation approach. That's important because it also looks at indigenous wisdom. And that's important because you look at the local terrain, you look at the amount of rainfall that's there, you look at the knowledge that is there within the community, and based on that you design your water conservation structures. And you also see that your crop cycle is in sync with the amount of water that you have. And when you get communities involved in such a process, then they're very careful how they use that water and how they use the water equitably and in a sustainable manner. And I think, ma'am, we were speaking about the year of the millets and about the millet plan of India. So one of the main things that you're promoting is the use of millets, so that you have nutrition, you have food, and you also have the use of less water. So this is very good for climate change, resilience, and for adaptation. Okay. And the whole thing about community management, I think community participation is something that I shared before. Okay, and I'm going to make a bit of a controversial statement and say that when we talk about net zero emissions and when we talk about climate, it's very important to understand that just focusing on emissions is not enough. We have to focus on water. Because when you talk about climate change or when you talk about mitigation, adaptation and resilience, it's not possible without water. And most of your disasters in any case relating to climate change are around water. It's either you have less water or you have too much water or you have the storms and the cyclones. And if you know how to work with water, then you have mitigation, adaptation and resilience. I think just have a couple of slides which I will undertake so we have time permission, and then I will end. This is an example from Karoli district of Rajasthan, and it just brings out the dynamic and the symbiotic relationship between groundwater and surface water. If you recharge the groundwater aquifers and they are full, they start to provide base flows to your river system. And then you start having water in the rivers, and so you have mentioned about how rivers are dry. Slowly then you have water for longer durations of time. When it rains, you have a river which then, when the water is there, it directs the water into the groundwater. And over time you have a very healthy balance between the two. So your groundwater banks are full and your river is flowing. So this is what I want to show is a groundwater infrastructure on the top. And the one below, this led to the revival of a river called C20, which is in Karoli district of Rajasthan. And so I wanted to say when this happened in the Chambal terrain, and the people from India know that the Chambal terrain used to be infamous for the dacoity that used to happen there. This young man, as you can see, was a former dacoit. People don't take to crime out of passion. They usually take to crime because there's hunger in the belly and there's nothing else that they can do. And in that situation, sometimes you have to resort to things that are not legal and that are not ethical. But working with them over time, giving them compassion, empathy, understanding their pain, we got them to work on water conservation. So they gradually laid down their hands and they took to plowing their fields. And so once that happened, you have water, you have agriculture, so greenery, nature just did its thing. The animals had, the livestock had water, the forest regenerated, people were now doing livelihoods for other people. And so this prakriya, this cycle of life continued, and that's why I'm saying that if this can happen with the most marginalized people, who we tend to forget, this can happen anywhere, anywhere in the world. Basically, you cannot have any discussion on climate change if you don't have water in the agenda. And looking at this, we found the People's World Commission on Drought and Flood. It's just a people's organization which is looking at indigenous wisdom, how we can solve the crisis of drought and flood over the world. And I think just in conclusion, I want to say that we all know that Mother Earth is wounded and Mother Earth needs healing. And for healing, we need just focusing on climate change is not going to, or emissions is not going to be enough. Nature needs to be rejuvenated, and the key element for that is water. So water holds the people later, rejuvenation. And if you are to want to talk about peace and security, then we need to get a water management and strengthen the relationship between water and just the very last slide. It shows that man there with the big moustache, he's a former dacoit. He had 43 cases with the police. He had no voice, he was all the time in hiding. But now that there's water and there's agriculture, this man back in his life.